Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We have a great interview that really should be fascinating with Mei Mahila, a valuation manager currently in Albania, who really has a great story to tell about entering our profession. Mei, thank you so much for doing this. I can't wait to hear the entire story. Can you give us a bit of background about where you're from, where you grew up, and what you started studying at university?
Thank you, Ray, for having me. It's a great pleasure for me to be sharing my story with the audience. I am from Tirana, Albania. However, I was brought up in Athens, Greece, only to return back to Tirana at the age of 12. After completing my high school studies at the Greek college in Tirana, I studied banking and finance at Epoka University in Tirana, again, Albania.
Very impressive. And when you were in university, a professor just introduced you to valuation, and that somehow led to the Valuation Olympics, which really sounds interesting. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes. Well, it was in the second year of my university studies when I first heard of valuation, and that was from my corporate finance professor. As a dedicated corporate finance student, my professor encouraged me to apply to the Valuation Olympiad, which was organized by Global Banking Training in London, UK. The Olympiad had 3 stages of competition. I was supposed to lead a team of 3 other students. At first, of course, I was hesitant since I had at all no prior information regarding valuation. Yet, I was very eager to learn and explore. With the promise from my insisting professor to teach me valuation in just a few months until the Olympiad, I accepted the challenge. Nonetheless, I had my very strong doubts due to the limited knowledge at that time on the topic. It all started with an online assessment that successfully qualified my team to the second stage of the competition. And the second stage of the competition was the most important one, actually, as it was about the preparation of a valuation of 2 hypothetical companies for M&A purposes. During this phase, I was introduced for the first time to the generally accepted valuation methods, financial modeling for valuation purposes, using different data sources for market multiples, estimating cost of capital, etc. I would say that I was immediately fascinated. I would constantly find myself reading about valuation theory. And after that second stage, we got the amazing news of being qualified to the final stage and were invited in London to present the case. And actually, by that time, I was a summer intern in the audit of Deloitte Albania.
And all of that somehow led to the director of human resources noticing you were in this Olympics and just mentioned they happened to have a valuation team and a spot for you in FAS.
Exactly. And in fact, that was the change in the course of all my life plans. Actually, by that time, I was considering to follow an academic career. But the HR director asked to meet me. He had heard about the news of my participation in the Olympiad. And he told me about a valuation dedicated department in financial advisory services in Deloitte. I was surprised that after the meeting with the HR director, I was invited by the valuation and modeling director in Deloitte Albania on an interview. And during that interview, he asked me about my valuation knowledge. He asked me about what I had prepared in the Valuation Olympiad. And at the end of the interview, I was offered a co-op opportunity at the financial advisory services of Deloitte Albania. I was very overwhelmed. I was only 19 years old by that time. I was about to get into a big challenge in a field that I have just started to explore. However, I was into it. Deloitte leadership, in fact, encouraged me to grasp the opportunity and forget about the tremendous work and study load that was ahead of me, just for the sake of the future benefits that I would be able to access from such an opportunity. From that point onwards, it would be an uphill battle for me to grow professionally and live up to Deloitte standards. However, I must admit it was a challenge, an adventure, but when I look back to it today, it was all very worth it.
And somehow during this entire process, you actually went back to London where you took some additional courses and basically continued your studies in investment banking.
Yes. I pursued a summer course as an investment banking summer analyst, again at Global Banking Training in London. That was a short course on valuation analysis and on financial analysis and valuation. And after this exciting experience in London and the networking there and everything, I was offered an associate role from Deloitte Albania. And I thought that that would help me tackle the real world challenges of clients in the valuation and modeling service lines. So I was very happy to accept the role and start a whole new journey. And since that point, every year I would get the Deloitte University evaluation courses. Every year I would be careful to hear every advice from my colleagues or superiors, welcome the tremendous effort of them in growing me professionally. In every project, I would dig through the technical libraries of Deloitte as well as EY, as I spent 2 years of my career in EY, to get prepared for the valuation methodology that I should apply in each of the projects, and would try to diversify my experience. And my staff would grow every year. My email signatures would see promotions every year. My fear of talking with the clients would eventually disappear with increased confidence. My CFA exams would be successful. And all that brought me to today, where I am a manager at Deloitte, just 26 years old, advising clients from all over the world in various industries, facilitating Deloitte business valuation courses, leading conversations with clients to help them understand and address their needs, motivating my staff on the beauty of valuation, and also being a CFA candidate, having successfully completed level 2.
Congratulations on these CFA examinations. Quite impressive. And the story is really wonderful, full of internships and co-op studies and even active mentorship within the profession just to help you along your career path.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ray.
No, of course. Can you tell us a bit about the types of engagements you currently work on and which type of service might be your favorite?
Well, thanks to the vision of the leadership of Deloitte, I was introduced to more than just business valuation, intangibles valuation as well, debt instruments valuation, alternative investments valuation, impairment testing, etc. However, after all this exposure, what I still enjoy most is business valuation. However, I am developing a special interest in alternative investments valuation and intangible valuations.
That's a great area to focus on, no doubt. You had a wonderful description of how or why you like valuations, describing it as financial art. Can you explain what you meant by that?
Actually, that's a quote that I have created once I was asked to provide a bio of myself. But from where I stand, every project in valuation is like a blank canvas where you get the chance to explore your power to create and make financial art. To my mind, there are two sides of the valuation profession. It's the technical side that, of course, should be very strong, but there's also the creative side. And I think that creative side is the secret ingredient of success in this profession. And both the technical and the creative side are nourished by critical thinking and willingness to learn. And what's interesting is that both these two skills are actually soft skills.
I definitely agree, and it's so important to have those soft skills to do what we do and to tell a story out of the actual analytical process. Very key to being successful in this profession. Mei, any advice to people at the student level or young professionals that might be thinking about a career in valuation?
Well, considering the definition of valuation as financial art, I would advise, and in fact I do that anytime I have the chance to, everyone who is willing to undertake a creative career in finance should consider valuation. I would advise anyone that considers valuation to put critical thinking in every task assigned, to reflect on the information received from any valuation practitioner. It is worth noting that every task in valuation requires professional judgment, and it is very important to be open to different points of view, as it eventually widens your own horizon and makes you a better professional. It is for the same reasons why I would suggest to ask as many questions as possible on different valuation professionals, as well as taking courses and certifications like ASA or other certifications that would help them build a strong technical base.
And thank you for that, May. Any advice you would give to our profession about how to attract young people into our what we do?
I think that the most tangible way to reach young students or professionals is by storytelling, like this one. And this is why I really thank IIBV for everything that is doing for our profession. This helps the audience to understand what can be reached by a certain education in the valuation profession. I think there should be more public figures in valuation profession to act like role models and reference point for questions that may arise to the profession. Another good way might be to have some info sessions, maybe in universities or webcasts, to make students understand what valuation is about and what's the importance of valuation. I see that most of the new joiners in my team have lack of knowledge on what valuation consists in and for what it serves. And on a last note, I think that another hidden treasure of valuation is that you can join the profession and you can be very successful in it, despite the level of university degree that you hold or even profession. I can tell you numerous examples in my teams of very successful professionals that have a completely different background, like engineering, science, mathematical background, that they are doing really well and they are contributing a great deal to our everyday job.
Yeah, that is just wonderful advice. And again, your story is great, and we can't wait to share this with everyone. Mei, thank you so much for the time. Just a great story and discussion. To our listeners, if you have any questions, please drop us a question. We'll have answers for you. Mei, thank you again.
Thank you very much, Ray.